Hello and welcome to the Final Phoenix podcast. Today I have Vicki Davidishvili with me today of Stille Essence Tea, and I'm super excited to have her here to talk about what she does. So, Vicki, why don't you just say hi and introduce yourself briefly?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Vicki, and I launched my loose leaf tea company where we're focused on bringing wellness to your everyday rituals. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited for our conversation and what unfolds here.
Yes, me too. Thank you, Vicki. And I love, first of all, I want to talk more about what you do, but I want to backtrack a little bit because I know that you have a corporate job and you work, like like 9 to 5 or whatever. You have like regular hours that you're in an office, and you were inspired to build this tea company, right? So I want to talk about what catalyst in your life occurred where you're like, I want to create this thing? Like, did you know that it was going to be tea? Like, can you share a little bit of your story?
Yeah, no, and thank you for the opportunity to tell my story. Um, so I'm going to go back to the night of December 8th of 2022. It was one of those moments that it doesn't define me, but it was definitely a defining moment in my life. So it was an ordinary Wednesday afternoon. I had been in the office. I work in New York City, as you said, in corporate. So I got off the train. It had been a long day, and I was like, oh, I need to just reset my energy. So I'm going to go for a fresh, for a walk and get some fresh air before I come home and just go from like pressure into different type of pressure, right? Of home life with two kids. So I went for a walk. While I was on my walk, I was assaulted. Two young men robbed me and they threw me into the ground. And when that happened, it's actually a really awesome story because it's not a story about being a victim, it's about being a victor. Because I jumped up and I started chasing them. And I actually caught them with an undercover cop. I mean, talk about the universe just like putting an angel right there to just take you and to protect you. So the undercover cop caught them. We recovered all my stuff. I did end up having to go to the hospital where they had found blood in my brain. And I was faced with a lot of uncertainty because, I was hurting in every inch of my body. And they were keeping me overnight. It was just a very unsettling moment. But while I was in the hospital in the emergency room, there was a moment where I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to have reconstructive surgery, as the doctors were saying on my face, because it was so damaged. And you know what? I decided that I was going to be grateful. I was going to be grateful for being alive. I was going to be grateful for having access to the absolute best healthcare in the world. And I was grateful that if they found the blood in my brain, that it was early enough where we could actually do something about it. In that gratitude, I also decided that I was going to take my power back and I was going to choose to forgive my perpetrators. And it's not because I was condoning what they had done, but it was because I had the power to choose that for me. And I didn't want to live with that energy of anger and hatred and, loathing in my soul. So fast forward, I come home from the hospital. And when I come home from the hospital, I post about my experience on LinkedIn and on Facebook because there had been all of these articles being written about, oh, this 45-year-old woman, victim, victim, victim. They kept using this word victim in all the articles. And I was like, I'm not a victim. I'm not going to sit here and hide in the shadows. And I went and I wrote about the way I was perceiving the circumstance. When I wrote about gratitude and the forgiveness, I had thousands of people reach out to me and they said, Vicki, you got to get out there and you have to start sharing about this way of being and this way of living. And what's funny is I always perceived myself as this like tiny little person. So little. I'm a younger sister who kind of like lived in her sister's shadow. Um, I I don't know. I had a lot of, stories that I had built up about myself being small, right? And playing small in life. And I was like, who am I to come out and write about like or be in the like in the public eye, right? And when thousands of people had reached out to me, I kind of found the courage within me to say, you know what? I'm gonna launch my social media platforms and I'm just gonna start sharing about the way that I'm choosing to be, to live. And this is me. So I pause here. I'm sure you have a ton of questions, and I can tell you about kind of the journey that even got me to that point on December 8th when I was able to see life through the lens of love instead of through the lens of fear.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it was a catalyst for you in a lot of ways, right? Like you tapped into gratitude. You were able to see that you could choose to be a victim or you could choose to be a victor. And something told you like this isn't victimhood. This is victory. What and you chose victory. And I love that story because like your story is so inspiring to people who are waking up to realize like, oh wow, I chose the other way, right? Like I chose to not step into my power. And it's just really profound how it's launched you into loose leaf tea and into like where you're at. So I do want to hear more about that. But I love when when you said like it's a way of being, right? Because we can choose any way of being. We can choose fear. We can choose love. We can choose stillness. We can choose forgiveness. We can choose to be in an energy. And I feel like, Still Essence Tea is kind of encompassing all of these positive energies that you're choosing to put into it, right? So, why don't you tell us how that circumstance led you to deciding, like, hey, I'm going to choose tea? Like, why wasn't it something else?
Yeah, absolutely. So, after the incident, what had happened was, I alluded to it a little bit. I had very severe scarring on my face. Um, I I started to experience a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear in my body. I remember it being dark, like the moment it would start to get dark, and if I was outside by myself, I would start shaking inside from fear. And I would start crying, and I would cry my way until my front door because I was in such fear. Um, and when I would go to sleep at night, I would feel the perpetrator's hands on my body. I could feel them when I would be lying in bed awake. So I wasn't sleeping. I was anxious. And every morning I had to look at my damaged face. And so, you know, I I didn't know. I didn't know where to turn to. And I knew that if I were to go to a psychiatrist, they'd give me medication because that's what they've been trained to do. And I would sit and I would do all this research. And what the research would tell me is that, yeah, the medication can help you, but, you know, in order for you to get off the medication, they're actually quite addicting. And you can't just like the moment you start taking it, you can't just quit it. It's not like you took 2 pills of Advil and then you don't have to keep taking it. There's actually a withdrawal that happens in the body. Long story short, what this was telling me is that it was going to be addicting, it was going to be poisonous to my system, and that I wasn't really going to treat the root cause, and that it was going to be just a band-aid, right? And so I started to think through like, okay, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a different way. So I did have a mindfulness practice at that point. I had gone through my spiritual awakening. I was kind of early on into my spiritual awakening journey. It was about like a year and a half into it. So I had the gratitude practice. I was just kind of like personal development, spirituality, like it was all coming together, but not completely, right? Um, and my sister, she was like in the loose leaf tea business. And funny enough, I never had heard of loose leaf tea. I thought tea only came in a tea bag. I genuinely did. Like I didn't even know that the concept of loose leaf tea existed, right? And so she came over and she was like, listen, you can drink like nettle. Nettle is so, she's like, let's start looking at nature. She's like, nettle. Nettle is so good for your skin. Or chamomile is such a great relaxant at night. Peppermint, this, that. And she started to educate me about all of these elements in tea. And I was like, wait a minute, tea? Tea comes with that? Like, aren't those herbs? Or like or she would say hibiscus. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that a plant? Isn't that a flower? Like, what do you mean this isn't a tea? That it like wasn't making any sense because I was only used to seeing it in a tea bag. Long story short, I started using them for all of these different health benefits that I needed at the moment, and they really started to help me. And when they started to help me, I was like, why isn't the entire world A, aware of this, and B, why aren't they drinking this? Right. As it started to help me. But again, like, I don't want to say that, oh, it was my miracle cure. It was everything, right? It was wellness, it was mindfulness, it was spirituality, it was, consumption of herbs and plants and spices that heal you from within. But it was like a holistic approach, right? And I was like, the entire world needs to know this because this is ancient remedies. This is how this is how humanity healed itself. Because before penicillin, before all of these other medications, this was the original medicine of humanity. So that was kind of like the inspiration behind my brand.
Yeah, I love that because you have like a very, real experience and a genuine connection to your purpose of like, I did this, I research, and you researched too as to what you could put into your body to treat the symptoms, mental and physical, right? And to help your emotional state and to help you heal. And I'm sure you've got a lot of education just in that window, right? And you're bringing it forward, and you're like, "Hey, you guys, you need to learn this. This is transformative." And that's one of the things that I love about what you do is that you are educating people about long lost, knowledge that only few people are coming up and saying, "Hey, this is to treat this. This is to treat this." We have all of these things in nature, right? And it's amazing that it's so simple. It's right, like we could buy it on the shelves, right? And one of the things that I love that you do, Vicky, tell me if I'm wrong, but you can really mix all kinds of herbs for different ailments and treat very specific things with certain concoctions that you can mix yourself, right? And
Yes,
there's no ending, right? It just you
there's
could just
no
yeah.
ending. There's no ending. There's no ending. And it's so fun. And I loved one of the posts that you made on Facebook. I just read it, and it was basically something to the effect of, the way that your higher self communicates with you is through your excitement, and the only way that you can experience excitement is through creation. So create, create, create. And when you're in that creative energy, that's like you saying to the higher self, like, yes, I'm hearing you and I'm here and this is coming through me, right? And that's the way that we allow that to come through us. And what's really fun about my business, and I do mean this very genuinely fun, and I mean fun with capital letters, is that I do get this privilege. I really see this as a privilege to create, and to create based on the health benefits of what my customers are looking for, And the beauty of it is that you can layer the tea with the herbs and the plants and the spices, and it's infinite. It's infinite, right? And so I've even gone to the point where I'm now creating custom blends, right? Like, because a particular blend may not come with something, but you can layer it in, and you can add in that health benefit. And so it's just such a creative process. And what I love about it is that I always, of course, start with a health benefit and what is it that we're looking to do. But the flavor profile is also really important, right? Because, you can take something like cinnamon. And cinnamon just adds that like spiciness and earthiness to anything, right? And you're like, ooh, and cinnamon could help you with inflammation, and cinnamon is really great for your blood sugar. And so it is just such a fun and creative process. But I also feel like every night I go to sleep, I'm like, oh my God, I just did that for that person. And that drives me.
Yeah, I love that. And the other thing is your energy, Vicky, is like so healing that and I've purchased tea from you, I have felt like when I drink it, it's almost like hanging out with you and your lighthearted spirit. And like I know that the research that you've done to put what it is in the tea is good for me. I love that you're doing all that work where I don't have to do a lot of digging, like, hey Vicky, I need something for sleep. Like I know that you can provide that. And I know you're also creating like kits, right? You want to explain like one of the most recent things that you were putting together?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sitting, and if you saw my desk, it would be like, plethora of papers and stuff, right? But I pulled up I literally live and breathe my little books with all the remedies and herbs, and I have like an herb encyclopedia. I mean, I don't feel time pass when I'm like sitting in my bed. I feel like they're my best friends, and I get to hang out with them. It's a privilege to get to hang out with these encyclopedias. Yes. So one of the things that has been happening is my customers have been coming to me, and we carry over 70 different blends on our website. And of course, if you come to a store with 70 things on the shelf, it's really hard to pick and choose what you ought to be drinking, right? And I know I'm that type of customer where I'm like, all right, show me three things. I can choose one out of three, but don't show me 10 because I get lost.
Hmm.
And so my customers are kind of going through that same journey. And they're like, Vicky, just tell me what to do. Like, if you tell me what to do, I will gladly do it, but I don't want to figure it out. Right. And I can understand that. So, one of the things that I'm creating is this wellness and balance harmony box. And what that is I put together 7 different blends for you to drink in the morning. And then if somebody wants a night tea or an evening tea for calm and relaxation or deep sleep, I'm also creating a kit around that. And so the 7 blends in the morning, every single day, we're going to address a different health aspect. For example, the first day can be about immunity. So let's get that hibiscus in you, that vitamin C, because that's going to help you with immunity. Next day, let's do some anti-inflammatory. So let's get that ginger in you, right? The third day is going to be all about, your metabolic balance. Okay, let's get that cinnamon in you, turmeric in you, right? And so we create that harmony and balance, and every single day you're getting the benefits of the different elements that you're consuming throughout, right? And again, it could also be for like an anti-inflammatory or what have you, but they're basically my way of creating a prescribed way to consume the teas so that you are deriving those benefits without you needing to figure out what all that is going to be.
Yeah, that's great because I'm one of those people who I love to research, but certain things, right? Like I'll do spices in the food, like I know like turmeric and stuff, but when it comes to like drinking it, I'm like, I don't know, I need someone's help. And so I love that you're specializing in that because you can answer questions. So, tell me, Vicky, what would you recommend? Like, if someone is just having a really hard time sleeping at night, what is something that you can say here? This can help you get through that and give you some restful hours.
Absolutely. So it depends on the level of severity in terms of your, sleeplessness. So if you just need something for calm and relaxation, you can just go with peppermint and lavender and chamomile, and those will very naturally relax you. There are, though, people who are struggling with almost like chronic sleeplessness. If it's chronic sleeplessness, then you want to go to things like verbena. You want to go to something like valerian root, but I would advise you don't do it every single day because, like valerian root, even though they say it's not addicting, it is, in my opinion, personally, um, it is something that's more potent and stronger. And so I wouldn't do it more than a couple of times a week personally. That would be my personal recommendation. I wouldn't ever recommend to anybody what I wouldn't do for myself. So there's that. The other thing that I would tell you is that it's not just what tea you're going to consume at the end of the day. It's your routine throughout the day that also makes a huge difference to the quality of your sleep. So I would ask yourself some questions. How late into the day am I drinking caffeine? How much caffeine am I consuming? What am I doing throughout the day, such as like to try to calm down the noise in my head? Do I have a mindfulness practice? And it doesn't have to be you sitting in meditation, but are you taking out a minute for yourself and getting some fresh air? Are you going out and connecting with nature? Because a lot of times, the reason that people wake up at night and can't fall back asleep is because the noise starts and they don't know how to turn off the noise. And it is the noise that keeps you awake.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's excellent that you're combining the mindfulness with tea because a lot of the times when I'm drinking tea, I'm very mindful of the routine, but also, throughout my day. Like we all know that mindfulness is healthy for us. And I love that you're implementing like this holistic approach to where like the herbs can help, but really look like, are you looking for that caffeine jump at 2 p.m., right? And that you can even educate people on maybe something that can replace that caffeine, but give them, maybe some energy going throughout the day. But as far as like the herbs that help people sleep, those are available on your website, right? StillEssenceTea.com. They could just go to your website and buy it right now.
Absolutely. So I have a couple of different blends that I've created. And the beauty of creating blends is that you almost create like a way to get all the benefits in one quick swoop, right? Instead of like drinking chamomile separately, peppermint separately, lavender separately, right? So there's one that I created, which is called Dusk Peppermint Delight. That blend, I would say, is more for like calm and relaxation. So, what that is, it combines lavender, peppermint, chamomile, and I know you've tried that one, lemon balm. And those are all wonderful, wonderful herbs for you to consume if you're really looking to just wind down, relax. If you don't have sleeplessness issues, it's going to be wonderful to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. Now, there is a blend that I just launched about a week ago or so, and it's called the Citrus Blossom Sleep Tea. That is kind of like that next level up because I've had customers actually at a lot of my street fairs. They'd come up to me and they'd be like, Vicky, do you have something that'll just like knock me out? I need to go to sleep, right? Now, these are people that are struggling with falling asleep, staying asleep, and it's a little bit more chronic. So, this is happening more than once or twice a week. So, that is a blend where I went a little heavier with the herbs that I put in. So, in this blend, you have your chamomile, but we are also including things like verbena. And like verbena will just like knock you out, right? So that is a blend, again, like the citrus blossom sleep tea. It's a little more potent, and it's designed for somebody who has a harder time falling asleep and staying asleep.
That's excellent. And what would you recommend for someone in the morning who maybe is trying to cut back on caffeine, but still wants that routine and that boost?
Yeah, no, 100%. So, a couple of ways. You could have something with black tea in it. Now, what's beautiful about black tea is that, yes, it has caffeine, but it has less caffeine. It's about half the caffeine that you would find in a cup of coffee or an espresso. Um, and the way that the caffeine in tea releases in the body versus in a cup of coffee is it won't give you that that jolt and that the jitters that you would get with coffee. So I have a bunch of different black tea blends that we've created. So for example, you've got your autumn cranberry. So you've got cranberries and cherries and black tea in it. You've got wild cherry. I mean, I have pumpkin spice masala chai. I mean, spice masala chai, honestly, that's basically anti-inflammatory in a way. Yes, it's a black tea, but it's combined with cardamom. It has cinnamon in it. It has all of these wonderful spices in it, which are fantastic for you. So you've got something like that. But I also have a ginseng vitality mate. And the way that it works is that it gives you, again, it gives you the wake up, the energy, but it's not going to make you, it's not going to give you the jitters that you would with a cup of coffee. And I've been on a journey of reducing my caffeine intake myself, because I'm my own best customer. So, in all honesty, I used to drink 4 to 5 cups of coffee a day, like espresso shots. And I'm like, this can't possibly be good. And I'd be drinking it until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon because I get tired at work. I feel so worn out, but it's been really disrupting my sleep lately. So I've decided to cut back. And this is literally what I've been doing. I still have my one shot of espresso in the morning because it's just my routine. Like, I need it. I want it. I love the flavor of coffee. Like, honestly, right?
Mhm.
I have a loose leaf tea company, but I love coffee. So I'll do my cup of coffee. But for the rest of the day, I either have a black tea or I'll have a cup of ginseng, vitality mate, and then it's just herbals. It's my whatever, all the
Yeah.
different herbals that I do.
Yeah, and I'm much like you. I love the flavor of coffee, and I do have a cup in the morning unless I'm just going totally no caffeine, but I do feel like I just enjoy that bite in the morning. But one of the things that I love that you turned me on is that I used to just drink peppermint tea. Like it's herbal, it's safe, I can drink as much as I want. I know I'm not going to strip my system. I was actually really scared because I know I told you before that I'm hypersensitive in a way that I drank so much tea one year that I had stripped my system and I actually had to recover. I had just drank too many cleansing teas because that's what I had in the cabinet, right? And I didn't know what was what. So it was equal to just consuming a lot of medicine and I didn't know what I was doing. And that was, I think, the first realization that I had is like, wow, this stuff matters. So I need to be paying more attention as to what I'm putting in my body. And I told you, I said, Vicki, if you could just help me understand what these do, maybe create something so that I don't have to do all the research, but I also feel safe, then I will be more apt to go outside of my comfort zone. And I have and one of the things that I love about that is I get to play with the flavor profiles. I know that I can drink an herbal tea and what it's doing for me, but I also get to enjoy the taste of it. And I get to be like, this is very like fall. This is cranberry. This is cinnamon, and know that it's good for me. And also know that I'm not going to rev up or, burn down my system at the wrong time of day. Right. I think that's the education. And I know that that's a lot of what you offer other people is like the education. You do the research, you put the blends together. And then the other thing that I love about what you do is you listen to your customer and like you said, you are your own best customer, but you're creating these boxes, you're creating wellness boxes. And I know that you love doing that, and that creativity of yours is caught on, set fire, in a good way, because you can create boxes for women and hormone balancing and moisturize your skin with tea. I'm like, Vicki, I need you to make all these things for me so I can drink them, So what ideas, I want to ask you more questions, but what ideas are you lighting up with as you move into this creation of this, empire of tea?
So it's interesting. So my journey was I started out with like the traditional like anti-inflammatory. I feel like those are really safe zones, right? Like inflammation, metabolic health, immunity, and there's a lot in the market already like this, which is awesome, right? And there's enough space for all of us in the marketplace, right? That's the beauty of it all. So that's fantastic. But as I get older and my body is shifting, there are certain things that I need now. So, yes, hormone balancing is 100% spot on, especially for us women as we're going through transitions in our bodies. And it's good for us to talk about that and support each other in that. I've had a lot of women reach out to me and they say, Vicki, I've gained a lot of belly fat post-menopause. Do you have something for me? So I'm starting to really look into weight management and what helps with weight management, but weight management coupled with hormonal balancing because it's not just one or the other, it's both. And so I'm really researching and I mean it's or I've had women who are like I wake up with hot flashes and I can't fall back asleep when they're in menopause, right? So I'm researching that. That has been super fun for me and helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful for me very, very soon. Um, then there is something that's like teas for hydration teas. I'm like, ooh, this is
Wow.
really interesting. What is that going to be all about? And what are we going to put in there? So there are all of these. So I'm talking to my customers. I'm listening to what needs they have. I'm also listening to the marketplace because I'm constantly reading up about like what are these new areas that of research that is coming through. And there's some very prominent, so there's this woman, she's called the sugar goddess. I don't the glucose goddess. I don't know if you've been hearing about
Mhm.
her. She's like on every single podcast lately and she's just talking about like glucose spikes in our body and what that does to us, and that it's more important to watch your glucose spikes and what is happening in your body than even counting calories, right? And so, because it's all about that metabolic health. So I'm getting really fascinated with, sugar. I had one woman who is pre-diabetic reach out to me and she's like, Vicki, I am freaking out because I can't eat sweets. I'm pre-diabetic. Do you have something for me? So literally, I was spending 2 days researching, and I don't even know if I had that piece of paper with me. Where, yeah, so, and I was literally going through and making little charts of what helps with what. So like for diabetes, as an example, right? Cinnamon, holy basil, ginseng, coriander, astragalus, ginger, and lavender. Those are good. And so like literally this is what I do. I sit and I research and I figure it out and I'm like, all right, what makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And it sounds like, we do try all these medicines. We do consume all of these, things, whether it be foods that are causing inflammation or stress that's causing inflammation. And there is everything that, the earth offers for us to repair. And that's emotional, mental, physical. Like it's right at our fingertips. And, like I said, I love that you're doing the research so that we don't have to. And you're looking at these acute or chronic issues and saying, here's a blend for that. Like you're taking ancient medicine and you're bringing it back, which is it's so needed, and you're so good at it too. By the way, it's like you get to solve your own little puzzles, and you're listening to people in a way that I wish more businesses would, right? Like I wish they would be looking at other companies and saying, what's missing from this, experience, and how can this company be better? Which leads me to talk about one of the things I love about your business, and that's your community. So you are like a holistic approach to health in that way by bringing these medicines through tea and herbs and the ways of being that you promote. And also, you have a community where you're getting questions and feedback and insights, and they're almost providing you with ideas because people have needs, right? So tell us about your community that you have.
Before I even say anything, I just want to say when I go to sleep at night and I do kind of like my gratitude, right? Like before I even do my meditation, I literally thank God for my community because it just it warms my heart having a community. It warms my heart, the feeling of warmth and belonging and support in this community. It's absolutely amazing. So let me tell you about our community. Okay. So, and it's our collective community. It's not Vicky's community. It's ours, right? Um, so like August. Okay, pause. So ever since Um, I've always wanted to have a community. So when I was like dabbling in life coaching and trying to like figure out like what shelf of the supermarket do I live on it, like as in how do I serve humanity now, right? Like after everything that happened, I was really trying to find a way to give back to humanity. And I was trying to find my place in the world and the voice and what I wanted to say and what I wanted to give to the world, right? And I struggled for a couple of years with that. I genuinely didn't know. And by the way, anybody listening to this, you have to know this. If you want to figure out what your voice is, what you want to say, who it is that you're serving, you gotta work with Laura because it wasn't until Laura like whipped me into shape, and it is not easy to whip me into shape, I gotta tell you. It was not until then that I actually started to get some sort of clarity around who I'm serving and how am I gonna do that, right? But long story short, I've always wanted to have a community. And I've tried launching communities many times, actually. I've done it in Kajabi, I've done it here, I've done it there. And nothing was really sticking, right? And so when we launched our tea business, which was like May of this year, hard to believe, I was on vacation. Um, and I'm like, I'm just going to create a Facebook group. And whoever wants to join, they can join. And I'm going to call it the Tea Lounge. And just like that, I was sitting, I typed up the about us. What are we all about? We're about support, we're about connection, all the things that were like genuinely in my heart. And I just kind of launched it. I put it out into the universe and I just invited. I had like 2,000 Facebook followers. I was like, I'm just going to invite everybody, and whoever needs to see this will see this, and whoever needs to join will join. And I remember when I saw like 10 people in, I was like, oh my God, there are 10 people that joined. This is so exciting. And my sister was like, oh my God, you got 20 people to join, right? And so we went through this like period of a couple of weeks where we were like watching the numbers and we are like, oh my God, like it's 50 people. Like we were really celebrating. We were celebrating the number of people. But what's more important is the engagement and the amazing connection that we're creating. And at first, it started out with me genuinely not knowing what the heck I was doing and what this community was all about. All I knew was that I just wanted to connect with other people. That's all that was my purpose of it all, right? It wasn't about selling my tea, it wasn't anything. It was just like, how do I just connect with people? So long story short, We now have close to 300 members in the tea lounge, and it is just a place that, I mean, if you were to read the energy of this place, it is love, it is support, it is education, it is nothing but genuineness. It's so deeply rewarding. um I get to, it's wonderful because like I'll post something and people will respond to it. Some people will introduce themselves, they engage. It's a conversation, and it's a two-way conversation, which is so wonderful. It's also the way that I get to understand, A, who is my customer? B, how can I serve my customer? What do my customers need? And one of the most wonderful things that happens is they get to know you. Like they're getting to know me, the real me, and they message me. They'll message me on Facebook Messenger. And, when one of the community members, when she got a health scare and a diagnosis that was less than favorable, she immediately reached out to me. Immediately. And she said, Vicki, I'm ready to take care of my health, and I'm ready to do things differently. And she had attended a couple of our virtual tea parties. She'd been listening, but she was always joining just for fun, just for the connection. But when that moment of health scare came into her life, she immediately reached out to me.
Yeah.
And that's when I immediately went to do the research. And, I gave her emotional support. I didn't care if she was going to buy my teas. I just wanted to make sure she was going to be okay, and I wanted to make sure that she would be okay. And I kept reassuring her that she would be okay. She'll be okay. And we're going to get through this. And that's what community is. Community is support. Community is um, being there for somebody when they need you, when things aren't going well, and when things are going well, and celebrating together and crying together, and being there for each other. And these are strangers that I've never met in real life, in Michigan, in Ohio, in Texas, all over the world, all over, reaching out and just like we're finding each other, you
Mm.
know?
And we need more spaces like that in this world, that's for sure. Just to hold each other up when things aren't, going as planned, and to, also have that education that you provide, because we want to be preventative, right? But we can't always be. But I know that you have so much knowledge about that, and it's like this is how we can care for ourselves. But when we miss something and we end up over here in a bad situation, this is how we fix it. And I know the longer the tea lounge and the community is in place, the more and more you learn these things, and the more you can educate and actually have a solution readily available, right, for people that come in. And I want to highlight your tea parties too, because those are live events where we gather as a community, and Vicki brings some education in, and we can just come together and learn, but also have fun and stay connected. And I think connection is something that we really want to highlight more of in this world too. And, Vicki's created a space for that. And it's so beautiful. Alone, just the connection alone, right? And everything else on top of that is an added benefit, because we are exercising self care. We are exercising our ability to show up for ourselves. We are allowing new relationships to come into our life and to meet new friends, and really just it just feels so holistic. And I love everything that you're doing, Vicki. And I also must say, it feels like I've seen you on your journey for a while, but it feels like you're settling in this, this space, and you're taking it deeper and deeper and deeper. It feels like you're kind of, you're going deeper in your heart, deeper in your knowledge, deeper in your relationships. And because of that, because you're going so deep in everything, you're able to go to the well of like yourself and be like, here's all of these jewels, right? And you're offering them. So it's amazing. And I just love what you're doing, because I wish there was like a million of you all over the world doing the same thing, right? Just bringing people together and changing health and our ability to connect and care for ourselves in this way is just a beautiful thing. It's been so fun to watch you do it and to be a part of it.
So sweet. You're such a big part of it. You know, like my dream is when I go on these street fairs and I talk to people and they say to me, "Oh, I need my glass of wine to fall asleep." So many customers say this to me. And my dream is to replace that glass of wine with a cup of tea. My dream is to replace all of these sugary drinks. Like I call my kids laugh and because I'm like, "Oh, are you drinking poison?" Because it kind of is, and it makes me so sad. And my dream is to replace our kids' sugary drinks with tea. My dream is to replace the sprites and they're all addictive. The way that they're designed to be so addictive because they create these sugar spikes and lows in our bodies. That's awful. It's absolutely horrible. And my dream is to just replace that with nature. That's it. That's all I want. And if you want it to be sweet, add a little bit of honey. Don't put it in refined sugar. Add honey. Why not? Nature combined with nature, and there's nothing better than that, And I'm like literally on a mission to do that.
Yeah, beautifully said. Because we need it to. We are trained by society to go to X and X and X because of habits and ads and promotions and what the way we've just been trained and what we've learned. And when we see that there's so many health benefits in something that can be enjoyed just as much, like why not go that direction? Right. Yeah. So I'm going to add all of Vicky's links here in the caption here, your website, stillessence.com, also the invite to your tea lounge, which is a Facebook group, and you have a TikTok, you have Instagram, do you have a Facebook page as well? You do have a personal Facebook page.
No,
Um,
the tea lounge is on Facebook. That's so the tea lounge is the community, and the community is a group on Facebook.
Okay. And then also the best way to contact you. I'm going to repeat this in the caption, like I said, but I just want to add it here is stillessence@gmail.com. And I'm going to talk to Vicki about a little bit of her business journey because I find it so intriguing because so many of us are we are in a time where we are aligning with more of our creative spark and what we can only bring forward into the world. And, like you could take 10 people, have them create a tea company, and they're all going to be very special in their own ways, right? So there is uniquely something that you, the listener, just like Vicky, the Still Essence Tea, can only create. Like nobody else can do it. And we really do, encourage individuals to exercise their creativity and bring this part of them forward because it is like Vicky's doing new products, new programs, new systems, new tea boxes, new ways of being healthy, new habits, new education and such. So, I'll ask Vicky that in a moment, but Vicky, first tell you do offer like consultations and such, right? For if someone's like completely lost, they need to improve their health. They don't know how to do it. Will you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I created a new program completely free. Again, this is as a result of the journey that I've been on with my customers, where they will message me and they're like, "Vicky, X is going on. Can you help me?" And we literally get on Zoom and we go through, we talk about what's going on, and then we sit and we do the research, and then I get back to them with, some thoughts and recommendations based on research. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I am more than happy to share what I'm learning, the sources that I'm using for what I'm learning and how I'm thinking about what can help with a health situation. So I just launched a way where you can literally go to a Calendly, a calendar. You can set up a quick call with me. And it could be just to meet me, which I love and enjoy. I just genuinely love connecting with people. So please just do that. Just say hi. It lights me up. Or we can sit and we can talk, what is happening. And then I can help share my thoughts around, what herbs, plants, spices would be beneficial and what teas contain those plants, herbs, and spices. And teas, obviously, like green tea is amazing for detox and so on and so forth.
Excellent. So that link will be in the caption as well, so that you can schedule with Vicki personally. Of course, it's free. The Tea Lounge is also free. The Facebook group, there's a link to that, so you could choose either or. You can also go to her website and check out what she has available there, which is all kinds of stuff, so many different mixes. And then, Vicki, tell us about your tea club membership. I know you
Oh,
have a monthly
absolutely.
membership too.
Yes, I do. So, before I even tell you about the membership, I also want to mention that the virtual tea parties are also free and they happen once a month. And it's a beautiful way to connect with all of us who come there and to just learn and to make new friends. So, that's the virtual tea parties as well. Okay. So, the tea club membership launched it again because of my customers who were like, Vicki, I love teas. I don't want to buy 10 different flavors right now, but I do want to try 10 different flavors. What do you recommend? So I launched a program where it's $17 a month. And with that, what happens is you get free unlimited shipping. So think of like Amazon Prime. So, yes, I'm learning from the best. So, I'm offering free unlimited shipping. You can order as many times throughout the month, you will get free shipping. I also will send you a tea of the month. So, for example, we're in fall, so autumn cranberry, although I have some of my customers who are like, Vicki, I really feel like trying X. Could we use that as my tea of the month? And I'm like, of course we can. So, I'm still at a point in my business where I know every single one of my customers, where all of my customers reach out to me personally, which is awesome. And I love that. And but in the future, as we scale, it will be, a flavor of the month. And that's what you get. So $17 a month. I've made it like uber affordable because I want everyone to be able to experience at least 12 flavors of this loose leaf tea goodness throughout the year.
Yeah, so definitely jump in on that. And I attend Vicky's tea lounge too and her virtual tea parties. So I love to meet everybody that is drawn to what she's doing. I feel like Vicky's created a big family there, and it's really fun to be a part of that. So I want to ask Vicky now. I know you have had quite the experience stepping into entrepreneurship, like, finding your voice, stepping into your calling. Ah, man, just the expansion, but the integration of who you are now, and just the lessons and the learning. And we were talking earlier about doors closing behind us, and just having to experience something to know that, like, we learned what we needed from it, but that's not where we hung out. And you wrote a little bit about like what your business experience has been so far. So can you share with the listeners about um how what you're birthing, like you're literally birthing something into creation, right? It's like it's got this gestational period and it's evolving. Can you share a little bit about just the impact that you're focusing on moving forward and how that's been for you?
No, absolutely. So I feel like life is moving at such a rapid pace that I don't even remember what I wrote when I wrote you, but I'll just speak from the heart and let's see if it matches up. And if not, that means I've expanded since then and evolved. So we can measure the before and the after. Oh my God. Yeah, so I'll give a little bit of context so that it makes a little sense. So I, as a personality, and whether this is acquired or whatever, as a personality, I was always a super high achiever. I strived to be the best I could be. I drove myself to reach career heights, academic heights, in every single possible way. And so, I work and I have a full-time job. At my full-time job, I like to call it like the magic wand syndrome. So, we have people, we have money, we have resources, and it's like I wave a magic wand and things get done. I want to think a new program into existence. We go, we ask for funding, and it happens, right? Because we've got the people, we've got the processes, and we've got the resources to do that. As an entrepreneur, well, things work very differently. And not only that, I'm going to call it a soulpreneur. Well, the soul has a mind of its own, and it is not going to pander to what the mind wants to achieve and create. Let's just put it that way. And I have been really having to learn a couple of lessons. One is a lesson of surrender, because the control and the pushiness and the overachiever that succeeded in my career is not translating well into my journey as a soulpreneur, because it's getting me nowhere fast, might I say. I've tried throwing money at the problem. I've tried throwing resources at the problem. I've tried throwing my brain power at the problem. I've tried throwing my experience at the problem, and nothing sticks and nothing works. And it's really frustrating. So I've had to do nothing. I literally have no other choice than to surrender. And one of the biggest lessons that I know I'm experiencing is learning that this business that I'm birthing is really my baby. It's my baby. It's not a business. It's not a money-making venture. I think the money will be there. I'm not saying that it's not, but that's not the primary reason for it, you know? And I can't operate from a space of this being a money-making venture when it's not. And I think that that has been like my biggest learning. And I remember having a conversation with you and you saying to me, Vicki, this is your baby. Would you ever give your baby away? Would you give a piece of your baby away? And that was a really big pivotal moment for me, and that was a big turning point for me. And if I treat it like a baby, and what does a baby need? A baby needs nurture. A baby needs love. A baby needs patience. A baby needs caring. A baby needs time, you know, and I'm learning that that's what my baby needs. And I wanted this baby to be running marathons. And all that the baby wanted to do was maybe sit up straight, not even crawl. And so I'm learning the art of patience with my business. I'm learning the art of loving my business in the sense that it's not about money. It's about my heart's work. It's about my soul's work. And in the last week or so, even, I know I was sharing with you at the very beginning, next week we're going to have a virtual tea party on November 12th. I don't know when this is going to go live, and in the morning I woke up and I was like, I think I'm going to talk about peace and calm at the next virtual tea party. And then I was just sitting and I sat in silence and I said, what does my heart want to tell the people in my community? What is coming through me at the moment? And when I sat down and I started writing in stillness and in silence, what came through me was something very different. And it was almost like it was a message to me, which was falling in love with change. And so I'm learning the art of listening to myself, listening to my higher self. And I'm also learning the art of shifting from mental achievement to like that soul soul level, not achievement, soul level birthing into the world. Like what is to come through me, and it's coming through me, if that makes any sense.
100%. You said it better than you wrote it. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we talk about, the journey of the soulpreneur, and that is we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're going where we're going because we're actually responding to the moment. Every single moment we're responding to that. We can't see very far ahead. And if we can, then it's great that we get those visions and we get those feelings and we get those insights as to where we're going. But in every given moment, we are bringing something through us. And that's exactly the feeling that I get. And I think that a lot of other soulpreneurs are getting is we can't figure this out with our intellect. We can't throw money at the problem. I mean, it's kind of interesting how desperate we get when we're trying to make something work from that state of mind. Because, like you said, you were contemplating briefly to give a part of your company away just for help, and I think that you know had you done that, you may still be in the same place because the soul journey for the soulpreneur and that path nothing is going to work until you learn how to let something come through you. And I think that you've accomplished that. I really do feel like you've moved from the what we've all been trained to do, right? We've all been trained that our intellect can do things, our ego can do things. And it's the day and age where it's like, we need new businesses. We need new support systems. We need new communities. We need new structures for this new reality. And it's coming through each and every one of us. And it's coming through you very strong and you're implementing it now that you know how to tap into that place. I feel like you've made more progress than the years before, right? You're like, oh, now I know. I can't force it. I can't control it. I can't wave a wand. I can't, delegate right now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And Laura, I really want to take a moment and to just thank you. I mean, you are so instrumental in my soul's journey. You know, it's not about my soulpreneurship journey, it's my soul's journey. Um, and I'm just so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you as a friend, but I'm also so grateful for you as my coach because you are the one who is helping to shine a light on all of these moments. They're moments. They're moments in time. They're moments in my evolution. And you kind of help me get through them, and it's I was looking at the hero's journey and how like it progresses and how that teacher appears,
Mm.
when you need that teacher. And you're absolutely the perfect teacher for me right now.
Yeah, thank you, Vicki. Well, it's been a pleasure. And we've both learned so much from each other. And you know, I know you're doing so much good and it's just been an honor to know you too and just to for both of our development. I mean, that's both of us. And and when we talk about the soul's journey and soulpreneurship, I feel like there's really not a difference, right? There's really not a difference because the trust and the faith that we have to put into the universe, like we are dismissing everything that we've ever been taught and replacing it with trust and faith. And when we've been taught to go out there and make a paycheck and we realize that what we're doing is more important than money and it's bigger than money. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean it's bigger than money? I've been taught to make money and I know how to do that well. Now you're telling me not to worry about that, not to focus on that, right? And then we're like realigning constantly with that inner part of ourselves. Um, it's instrumental and I'm just humbled by how trusting you've become of the process. Like, I feel like we all kick and scream in the beginning, right? I did. I know I did. And that's why when I can see it in other people, I'm like, I know where you're at. I did that too, because we don't know. We're being asked to go into a room and we have no idea how to even get there. It's
So true.
inside. It's inside, right?
Well, you know what I was going to say is when you said we've been taught how to make money and the interesting shift that also happens as part of this journey is that you no longer want to make money. You know what I mean? That's not the driving force. Um, I can tell you with my career, right? Part of my driving force was definitely money. You know, it was responsibility, it was scope, it was the work that I would be doing, of course, like all of that. But yeah, like money was definitely part of that, right? And the difference here is that, my sister and I, we joke all every time we put together a vial. She and I, we joke, we go, another vial of liquid gold, like that's what we call our little tea vials, right? Like, but that's literally how it feels is like, we don't say, oh, another $15. That's like, that has never even come into our conscience, even. It's always like another pile of liquid gold, like, and she and I joke about it, but that's how we feel, or like we'll refer to it like this is medicine. Like she and I we will sit together and we're like, this is medicine, and we like get so wrapped up in like we're creating medicine, and like, like we feel so important. Like we feel like we're doing like something so important and that's how it feels, that's what it feels like. And those are the conversations that we're having all the time with her, and it's so different. It's so different. It's our baby. It's our baby. It's like nobody is going to come near this. It's our baby.
It's beautiful because when that energy, they've done the experiments on water where you hold water and you infuse it with an emotion. Like you're literally infusing this energy into every single vial. So you're infusing it with joy and you're infusing it with love and excitement and healing. And you are sending that to people. And I feel like that's not done in this space either, right? Like having something blessed with positivity and then we get to put it into our body, like that alone is healing, right? But I wanted to say that in a society that has taught us that our prosperity and our wellness and our achievement is all measured by money,
Mm.
BS, right? We know that's BS because we're like, well, how come I can make seven figures and be miserable, right? Like we do all come to that realization at some point. Like I had money and I had zero time to spend it at some point. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm not enjoying my life. I'm not enjoying my relationships. I have no time for anything. And then, once we get into understand the energy of money and how matter, even money has consciousness, it's inevitable that when you're putting something as pure and loving like you are out into the world, which also has consciousness, like the money is going to come. Like it's not possible for it not to. That exchange is happening. Now, whether it's today or tomorrow or whatever timing, like we don't know, right? But it's inevitable. And when we're coming from a place of service like you are, which I love, and excitement and joy and all those positive energies, um, all that's coming back to you too, right? So we begin to see how this new earth almost as I shall say it is unfolding and creating and how different the elements work. Like we're used to a certain way, we're used to cause and effect, we're used to I'll go do this, wave this wand, do this, money does this. None of that works as we transition into a higher vibration. It's a totally different playing field. We're all equal, we're all level, we all are frequency, and everything that we're bringing forward is frequency, and money too is a frequency, right? So I really did get that download that said, what you're doing is more important than money. And that's all I needed to hear. I was like, oh, well, there goes that thought. Cause I was thinking about money for a while, right? I was like, how am I going to do that? Like, we usually try to build something to make the dollars and cents make sense, right? And I was like, as soon as I realized or got that download, I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't have to do any math, right? So I was just carry on. And it's been phenomenal. Like, I've been focusing on service, I've been focusing on transformation, I've been focusing on impact. And that's been like you, we're getting it back, right? And then we're beginning to really learn how this new reality is working. And I feel that you've tapped into that.
Laura, you're spot on. You're 100% spot on. And, that literally has been my journey, right? Where um, I had this mathematical formula in my head, like for every dollar you invest in the email, you get $40 back. And the universe was like, oh, I'm going to put you in email jail. You're not even going to deliver any emails. And can I tell you something? Okay, I have to share this with the listeners, and whoever this helps, let it help. And if you think I'm crazy, I'm at peace with that too. So, super quick. I had this email list and it had like 1,800 names on it. And I was so proud that it had 1,800 names on it, which was really awesome for me. The problem is that 1,750 of those people didn't really know who I was. Because I had acquired the email list from one of these big bridal events that I had done, and they gave me the list. And I was under the impression that I could engage them and I could, etc. Long story short, I had all of these formulas in my head about like how I'm going to monetize this list. And every time I would send an email out, it was ruining my deliverability numbers down to the point where my email service provider decided that I was sending out spam. And so all of my emails started being delivered into the spam folder. And so the people who knew me and the people who didn't know me, nobody was getting a single email of mine. And so about a week and a half ago, I kind of had to sit with myself and I was like, what's the point of having 1,800 emails on my list if none of them know me and none of them care whether I send it to them or not? Wouldn't I rather send it to the people who actually care where they get something from me? So I went in and I deleted everything. I deleted 1,750 emails. And I said, no more. I don't care because I'm not going to operate based on these numbers, these artificial, superficial numbers that mean nothing. And I'm left with 44, but extremely active email members now on my list. And you know what? I love my list. I love the 44 people. I know all of the 44 people, and they mean the world to me who are on my email list. And you know what? I sent out an email campaign for the first time. And guess what my open rate was?
What's that?
Close to 50%. So I went from an email open rate of like 7% to the point where my email service provider thought I was sending out spam, even though I wasn't. I'm almost 50% open rates. Why? Because I'm communicating with people I care about and who care about me. And I love the 44 people. And I will allow that list to grow at the rate that it's going to grow. Let it grow however it's meant to grow. And I feel free and I feel like all this weight had been lifted off my shoulders and that energy has been cleansed. And I'm so happy writing emails now.
And you have those really pure energetic connections to where you know you're sending something to people who, like it matters now. Before you're like, I don't know if it matters because, that's when we could get into a different topic about having like I did the same thing with a lead magnet a couple of years ago. I did a lead magnet that did so well, but then I shifted niches essentially, and now the lead magnet that brought in all those people, they're like, "What are you doing? Like, we don't care about business. We just want to change our thoughts, right?" So I was even like something that simple. Like they did opt into something I created, and they still don't care, right? That's how we can get really clear on messaging and such. But um, I just wanted to say too that we can use numbers. We could use numbers like that to measure things, but not everything needs to be measured. And I will say, like, looking at numbers is kind of like a game. You can kind of see where you are, but I don't think it's required. It is if you're like, well, I did 50%. Now let's see what I can do to make it 55, right? But I listened to a story by one of the people that really inspire me. And one of the questions that one of the students asked is they said, how can I stop worrying about like my financial state while I'm trying to build this thing? Like, how can I stop worrying about it? And he said, his story was very simple. He said, I never paid attention to my finances. He said, we were invited to go to, um, maybe it was Mexico or New Mexico or something. And he said, we were invited to go there and we didn't even know if we had enough money. So he had to call his friend and he's like, do we have enough money? He's like, yeah, we have like $150,000. We could do whatever we want. And he's like, we do? Okay. And so it's funny because his wife was like, you haven't been paying attention to any of that. I thought you were, and he's like, no. So they're like they're serving people. They're moving through life, living wholeheartedly. And at the end of the day, they're just like, do we have enough money to do that? I wonder. And that's just how it kind of comes flowing in, right? So you can pay attention to the numbers. You can get really deep in the intellect of the measurements, but at the same time, I feel like as long as we're serving, we don't have to. Sure, look at that because we have to be responsible. Like I don't even know. I have questions, right? I'm like, who is paying your bills, right? Like if neither of you are looking at your bank account, like I have questions, but at the end of the day, I get the point there. It's like we can still be okay. We can still be okay, even without you know, um, all of that. Why put all that energy in if we're going to be okay anyways? And if we're not okay, we can serve more and we'll figure it out at the end of the day. So yeah, I just wanted to say too, lastly, is to definitely go to Vicky's email or website, www.stillessence.com, and join her list because she came out with a brand new newsletter that's delivered and it's got all of the updates for you. So if you're not sure where to start, the newsletter will have the tea lounge link, pretty much everything that we've talked about, Vicky will provide in that, and you'll get that in your email box after you subscribe. So Vicky, I guess is there anything else that you want to add as far as, I do want to say, like, I can't say enough that I love what you're doing. I absolutely do not see any other tea company bringing community, bringing a holistic approach to wellness, bringing an education, and also the love and care that you put into everything. I've never seen it. And I know, and it's like you're filling that space that needs to exist. And that's what brings success. And, I wholeheartedly just every time I see you light up and people coming into your community and they're like not really quite sure what they're getting into and then they just become like your number one customer, like it's so fun. So I just am so happy for you and I've watched your journey too. So I've got a little inside peek as to what it's been like for you even though you articulated it very well. But yeah, what would you like to say
In closing,
in closing? Mhm.
I'm going to use one word, and whatever you do, no, do it with two words. Do it with love and have fun with it. For so long, I hadn't been having fun with my business. And I think that you could see that in everything that was coming through me. Um, because I've been trying to operate from the head. And in the last couple of weeks, I've really been shifting into fun and joy and love. And, I published my first newsletter this week on Monday. And it was really hard. It was harder than I thought. It took me time, but I put effort, not effort as in like effort, but it was like I wanted to be thoughtful. I wanted it to be informative. I wanted it to be from a space of love, as in like I really wanted to educate people on something that was useful. But I was having so much fun with it. I enjoyed the research. I enjoyed, um, I even like I even came up with it. Not I didn't come up with a joke. I asked ChatGPT to help me with that part of it. But I was like, hey, what if we created a joke? Like, so I was like having fun with it. And my business is becoming about love and fun. And that's what I want to infuse everything that I do with, is with those two energies. And I'm feeling so much more joy in what I'm doing because of that. And I'm letting go of the numbers, I'm letting go of the KPIs, I'm letting go of all the things that I know as a business leader. I'm letting go of all of that. And I'm operating very differently here.
And you glow and you shine.
Mm.
And I feel like you're making more progress than ever because you're getting those, I feel like you're getting those insights that we talk about that come when you're in high vibration, when you're in love and joy, you're getting shown by feeling or whatever way your guidance gets to you, you're able to see that a lot clearer, right? Or feel it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vicki. And again, I'm going to go over her contact information briefly, stillessence.com. Check out her website, join her newsletter there. Also, the Tea Lounge, I'll create a link to that. That's a Facebook group. And she's also on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, you do have a YouTube channel. And if you'd like to email her, stillessence@gmail.com, definitely jump in for a free one-on-one consultation if you're not sure where to start. And hopefully we'll see you in the community. All right, Vicki. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And to the listeners, thank you. And we'll see you next time.